Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival in Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew. What I have for you today is my small military survival tin kit. It's obviously a smaller version compared to my normal survival tin over here, my right, your left. This is going to be a lot longer, a lot wider, and it's actually a little bit taller than that Altoids tin. So we're going to be able to pack a lot more in here, but we've got the basics in here, and the reason it's just basic material in here is because with those basic items, understanding our survival strategy for our local environment and our needs and what we require, we can actually get away with a lot. And I'm going to show you some skills here with this tin and the items inside on how we can provide for our most basic needs in almost any environment. Stand by. All right, so here's the tin. One thing I like about this tin is it's small. I've already charred it in the fire, make tinder, and so it's blackened or subdued color. I've got the Ranger band kind of holding it together because I tend to overfill these things, and so I've got one corner that's kind of sticking up a little bit more than the others. And we've got electrical tape. Green electrical tape is always going to be the favorite. Camouflage this and then seal it in watertight to prevent anything from getting in. You take that tape off and it immediately wants to pop open on me. Pop it open, and then right on top, I've got a piece of tape right here. And this tape is actually covering up pre-made needle and threads. And so what I like to do is just take needle and thread, wrap the thread around the needle. I've got varying sizes, small, medium, and large needles, and then put them on a piece of tape, tape them to the top lid of the tin. That way that repair kit is right on top. I had to repair my clothing in the field before, and knowing how to sew and doing a good job and then having those kit items available is gonna make a lot of difference. And so just the basic sew kit right there. It's a good technique just to tape them again to the top of that tin. All right, so you'll notice that first item on top is tinfoil. Tinfoil is a great survival item. We can use this with cooking, holding all of the animal parts in one nice neat package, cooking it all together so we can get all the nutrients, fats, minerals, everything, all in one tasty meal. Plus, with this tinfoil, we can actually fold it down in a certain way to give us a container or a cup to place over or in a fire with water inside that will actually allow us to boil that water and make it safe to drink. It's a really good technique to know because we can transport basically a cup in a cooking container all in one in a very small, nice, neat package. So tinfoil is going to be that item that I pack for my survival kit, for my survival strategy to create a container to treat water, make it safe to drink, and then cook food. Got water tablets to treat that water, make it safe to drink. Trash is everywhere, so part of my survival strategy is to find containers, already made containers like plastic bottles, glass bottles, whatever, and use these water treatment tablets to treat that water to make it safe to drink. So water tablets on there for a basic kit. Next, we've got good old MRE matches. They're gonna be great for starting a fire. These are small, cheap matches that are already in a waterproof container. One thing we can do with these, dip these in wax to make them more waterproof. But these are notoriously bad, but we've got 30 of them or 25 of them in a package right here that we can use to get a fire going fairly easily, and we can count on these. One thing we can do with these as well is split the match. One match, come down to the end, we can actually use our nail where we tore the match away, use it to split the ends, just tearing away the ends right there. We work it down to the end and finally just pull it apart at the end, supporting the head of the match with our fingers. And now we have two matches that we can use, as one is gonna be a smaller head than the other, but it will light and it will work. And here's the second. It's actually got kind of a larger head. And I just tore that away, but it still works. We want to cup this in our hands, let it grow, and then apply it to our tinder bundle. And so matches right there. We've got snare wire. Basic 22 gauge brass snare wire is great for just basic snares. Are too easy to make. In fact, I've got some wire right here. Same wire. All we do with this, fold that wire over, twist by holding the loop that we've created, and the rest of the wire between our thumb and forefinger of our opposite hand, cut it. Typically anywhere from a foot to 14 inches of wire is going to be great for just a basic type rabbit snare. And then we just fit that standing end through the loop and we create our noose. This will actually catch a rabbit for us, or small ground game, if we set these up as passive snares. In fact, just recently I got a rabbit in a snare, and that snare went behind the rabbit's two front arms, so it was a body snare. It wasn't a killing snare. It turned into a holding snare, which is one of the things we run into with basic snares like this. It may not get around that animal's neck and then choke it out and kill it for us. It may actually only hold that animal in place for a short time. And this wire can be broken, so when the animal's struggling, if they continue to struggle, they can actually snap this wire over time. So we want to check our traps routinely. And once we check those traps, if we have an animal in there in a body snare, meaning it's wrapped around its body, it's not going anywhere, but it's not going to die right away, we need to stun or dispatch that animal quickly. Then we have our food and our meal for the fire. Highly recommend carrying as much snare wire as possible. We've got our commando wire saw. For my survival strategy, a commando wire saw is going to be awesome, especially if you can get the military wire saw. You can see the difference between the military wire saw and then just a normal store-bought brand, because it will actually cut through metal. We can actually turn this into a bow saw, use it to cut down material very easily, but then we can also use that commando style to cut through small pieces of metal like a nail. That's just another tool we have at our disposal. So having having a commando wire saw is going to be one of those basic tools that fits in a small tin that gives us the ability to craft a saw to take down material and produce a few wooden tools before this thing eventually breaks out or we lose it or whatever. But a wire saw is going to be part of my kit for my survival strategy. Next, we've got that button compass. Button compass to tell basic cardinal directions. This one's pointing in the right direction. I actually got another one on my wrist, and we can see they're pointing generally north. We have a map. We can use this to help orient the map, terrain associate, and then move out. But we want to have a way to find cardinal directions so we're not guessing, and we can just find it quickly, pick a direction, and move out. So that's my strategy. Next, with fishing, got a sewing bobbin that's got 40-pound test line that's braided green. So 40 pounds and still very small. But with this, we can fish. It's a subdued color, so they're not going to see it in dirty water as much. But we can also use this as improvised thread with our needles. And there's so much of it on here on this small little sewing bobbin that we can actually craft several different types of tools. To go along with our kit, we've got fishing hooks on a safety pin. Then we've also got our sinkers put as part of our kit. But with this kit, we can get a lot done fishing-wise. We can take this, create a cane pole, and actually fish at the water's edge with a cane pole, which is very successful, easy to do. We just cut a pole, tie this line on, put on our sinker and our hooks, find some bait, improvise a float, and then toss our line out there, and we can fish and simply pull fish out of the water if they're biting, or we can create just a hobo reel, a handheld line, which we throw the line out using the weight to propel our line out into the water. We can actually catch fish and reel it in by wrapping the line around the stick. Basic terminal tackle is going to give us a lot. And so this isn't as robust as a kit that would be inside here, but it's good enough to give us an opportunity to pull in some fish and get a bite. All right, next, safety pins. Safety pins have a wide variety of uses, mostly for clothing repair, or at least holding clothing together. We can use these as well to hold bandages up. We can use these to secure slings or swaths. We can use these to fashion into fish hooks if we run out of our other fish hooks. And we can also use these to close up or form bark containers. Safety pins are going to be another one of my choices for a survival kit. All right, next, a whistle. This is just an Acme whistle. It's very loud, and it's certainly going to reach a lot longer distance compared to me just yelling in the woods, and it's going to last a lot longer than my voice will in the woods. And so an auditory signal, especially this time of year, people are going to be able to hear it a lot better. So that signal is going to go in the kit as an emergency distress signal. So an auditory signal, always good. Works both day and night. A ferro rod. What I like to do is take ferro rods, these long, thin ones that actually come from top of a magnesium bar, especially the cheap ones from China or the ones that don't have any markings on them at all, I guess. Pry them up. There's very loose, cheap glue holding these on. And then you have just a long ferro rod. What I do is I take my knife and actually file down the spine of this small buck 55 to give a 90-degree edge. And then now I have a striker that I can use to ignite tinder and a simple fire source right there. Not only do we have a ferro rod, but we've got tinder. Part of my survival strategy with a small tin like this, I'm bringing at least 2 tinder sources. What I like about these is that these are easy to pack in the tin, plus you can mash them down or form them into different shapes, and they hold that shape and they'll just fit right into a corner, and they're still gonna be good. So you can pull these out, fluff them up, and then actually ignite them to get a fire going. And next you saw my knife here, the buck 55. It's a small, thin blade that is very strong. It doubles as my fire rod striker, but this thing will help process material. That buck 55, that small knife, and a wire saw. We can craft a bow saw, and then we can actually use this to craft a bow drill friction fire set. And we can use the cordage in our kit or from our bootlace to make the string for the bow. But with these two tools alone, we can craft a primitive fire set. Usually take something like this hunting with me, some sort of buck knife process game, and it's very easy to process small game, especially pheasants or rabbits or squirrel with a small knife like this, because that's the animal we're going to go after anyway. But we could, if we had to, take this knife and process larger game. We would just have to find a way to sharpen it about halfway through or 2 or 3 times at least to continuously process that large game if we were to take it for some reason. But we're not going to be able to take something like that with a kit like this. So that knife is going in the kit definitely as part of my survival strategy. All right, that next item is going to be micro cord. Big fan of micro cord. This is brown micro cord. I do have some green micro cord over here as well. Subdued colors are always my favorite, but micro cord like this is going to be 100-pound tensile strength. It's about 25 feet. That's long enough to give us a quick deploy ridgeline. But with this cordage, my survival strategy and one of the intents of a kit like this with small cordage is to create another trap for food, and that is a trot line or a night line. We call it a trot line. Civilian side, we call it a night line. Military side. And what I would do was take some line and some hooks, or if I was carrying leaders, attach it by simply running the line through the loop of my butterfly knot, just creating a simple lark's head. I'd make another one further down the line. I get as many hooks as I can put on here. What I would do with my trot line or my night line is put a weight on one end, and then I'd put an anchor or tie this off to something on shore and anchor it into the ground, and then simply throw the weight in the water with all my hooks on it, baited of course, and then just sit and wait and leave it overnight and come back and check it, because fish will come, bite the bait, take the worm, take the hook, and then get stuck on that line in a passive trap with our cordage called that night line or that trot line. And then we could come back, collect up that fish, and we'd have a meal ready to go, and we can go back to our hide site, hide while that trap is working passively for us. So that's my intent with cordage like this. Of course, we could also use our knife to create deadfalls without cordage, just using sticks and a heavy object to go after game, much like a mouse or small ground squirrels, and then collect up food that way. That food's gonna be minimal in caloric intake, but it's still gonna be better than nothing. So that primary purpose with that cordage, at least for my survival kit, is gonna be toward traps and tools, getting us food off the landscape. We can make a natural shelter using natural materials without any kind of cordage. Next, we've got just a simple signaling mirror. This mirror, double-sided, so we can use both sides. That way we can signal for search and rescue. So having multiple ways to signal for rescue over distance, auditory and visual, day and night time with our whistle, and then daytime with good sunlight with our mirror. That's part of my strategy as well. We can also use that tinfoil as another signal. We can also use natural material along with our fire starting kit to get a signal going, such as a ground-to-air signal, smoke generator. Anything that's going to give us smoke, fire with green vegetation will send that plume of smoke up into the air and alert search and rescue, so that's another type of signal we could also use. Then on bottom, we've got a basic medical kit. We've got alcohol prep pads. These can also be used as tinder with our ferro rod. They'll burn for a few seconds nice and clean, and we can put our tinder material over top and kindling and get a fire going that way. But these are for treating wounds or treating small lacerations and cuts to the hands to prevent infection. And then we've got a couple of Band-Aids, those H-style Band-Aids to go over those cuts and abrasions and small lacerations to help protect our fingers, because our hands are going to be our #1 survival tool. And then lastly, always have a smaller cutting tool like this razor blade to use. We can fashion knives with it. We can use it for processing game. It's just another blade to have for survival, and you can't have too many cutting tools, especially if you lose this one for some reason or you can't find it. You've got an extra cutting tool right there in the form of a razor blade to help process game and process material as best as possible and save your hands a lot of work and effort. So a razor blade. And then we have the tin itself. With this tin, we can use it to char material like I've already done, or we could use this to put all of our kit items back in that we're not using. And if there's any space available in here, what we could do is, if we're finding bait for fishing, like worms, grubs, caterpillars, crickets, grasshoppers, small bugs, butterflies, whatever, grab those bugs and throw them in here with the extra space available, and we can carry our bait with us. Do a lot with a tin as an extra container like this. All right, so we've got our kit right there. Let's go ahead and pack it all back up. And there's everything back in our tin for the most part. Got to hold a little bit of it down, but not a big deal. Tin foil right on top. We've got those hinges on the back side helping hold this in. And now, take our tape, tape this up as best as possible. We're taped up. The last thing I like to do is just take that Ranger band and place it right over top. On the off chance that tape comes undone or fails, this will hold it in place for us. Keep the lid shut long enough for us to discover it and then repack it and resecure everything. But it's cold out here, so the tape doesn't want to work as well as if it was warm. But that's our kit. All right, guys, so a small survival tin kit based off my strategy. So it's going to go a little bit more tool heavy. I have enough fire starters, ways to get a little bit of water, and then a lot of ways to go after game with fishing, with traps, with snares, to get that food, to put it in us so we have enough energy to continue movement and get out of that survival scenario. But we can get away with a lot of the basic items in a very small kit because they are successful, and these are things and strategies that have worked for me in the past that I share with you guys today. I really hope you liked this video, another down and dirty video today. If you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for what you can do for me, for this channel, for your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.